Growing up in the Lutheran Church in the 1950s, one thing you always heard was something called the Apostles' Creed. They said it every Sunday. This is basically a version of the Nicene Creed, which encapsulated what the bishops, with Constantine looking over their shoulders, deemed what you had to agree to be a Christian. It's the old, if you're not with us, you're against us thing. Many of us know that in 325 AD, this pattern was set that has followed us continuously through most of Christianity to this day. With that, Christianity became about being an adjunct to Roman power, and Christ's message was lost. You might remember him saying, "My kingdom is not of this world." Clearly not something as Constantine saw it. Constantine's so-called conversion took place in AD 312. But I'm going to let Eileen Pagels tell us what happened around that time. Thank you. I love fire, but only to a while. Okay. During the following decades, after his so-called conversion in 312, during that following decades, Constantine sought to shift the empire towards Christianity as he saw it. Among many other edicts, he exempted Christian clergy from taxation and granted them power to enact legal transactions. He outlawed crucifixion as a legal punishment. He repealed legal disabilities for the unmarried, introducing stricter divorce legislation, and prohibited gladiatory shows as public entertainment. Now that Constantine had ended the persecution, Christians began to contend among themselves more intensely than ever. The emperor's favor enormously raised the stakes, for he took Christ as his patron. Constantine opened his imperial treasury to rebuild churches previously chartered for destruction. Christian clergy, once hunted and haunted by fear and memories of those horribly killed, now received tax exemption and special privileges. Those who had been tortured and enslaved, or homes and property had been confiscated, received promises of full restitution. Now Constantine openly preferred Christians when making official appointments and began to treat bishops virtually as his agents, placing tax money at their disposal, giving them right to free slaves and judge legal cases, and even handing over to the Bishop of Alexandria control of much of the city's grain supply. So while Peter, who previously held that position, had been targeted and killed because of his prominence, his successors fought to gain that position, which would make its possessor a rich and powerful man. Christians, newly thrust into leadership, competed for the emperor's favor, now a prerequisite for securing major positions. After the year 312, when Constantine first declared his preference for Christianity, he had chosen to become the patron of those Christians who call themselves Catholic, from the Greek word universal. Within a few years, he adopted their practice of calling all their Christian groups, along with their clergy, heretics. That is, in fact, sectarians who he now declared had no legal right to meet for worship, even in private homes, much less their own churches. In 324, he legislated an end to all heretical sects and ordered that their property be confiscated and turned over to the Catholic Christians. His successor would impose strict sanctions on Jews as well. So instead of persecuting all Christians, now we just persecute those who don't agree with the positions established by the Council of Nicaea. Constantine can call himself a Christian, but in no way was he Christ-like. He was very emperor-like. Unlike the Council of Nicaea, we encourage independent thinking. We have practices which help you to achieve a mental state that allows you to access the spiritual world, which Jesus says in Luke is within you. We are fellow travelers on a journey to explore what is within, not lock you into a belief prison. Our path knows the individual has a unique relationship with the powers of deity. It's all about the journey and not the destination. People will offer a destination, i.e., you'll be saved. You believe these things and give us your money. Essentially, their destination is a dead end. So many of those use fear and guilt as a way to control people. You won't find that here. In our perspective, each one of us is on our own point, on a path on our own to spiritual awakening. This path is traveled at each of our own speeds too. That is why we need to enjoy the journey. We are in the process of a type of archaeology, uncovering a buried part of the Western esoteric tradition. Constantine and those who followed him did their best to try and co-opt the Jesus movement and make it part of the Roman state. In this, Jesus' core message was lost. All the lip service to Jesus doesn't cover up all the activities like burning people at the stake that obviously Jesus' message would have condemned. As Jesus said, by your fruits you shall know them. And that is why I say, the Grinch didn't steal Christmas, Constantine did. Thank you very much.